Hello everyone, welcome back to theCUBE. We are here in New York City for theCUBE East. This is the NYSE CUBE Studios, part of our super node, our super point of presence, super pop. It's where all the action is on the East Coast for theCUBE and the NYSE Wired community that Brian Bauman and Kevin Hawkins are putting together with the team. This is where all the action is, and of course Silicon Valley, where Palo Alto is our other super node and super pop, bringing Wall Street and Silicon Valley together through theCUBE and the network. So we got a great lineup this week as part of our Media Week NRF coverage. Bharat's here, the Chief Product Officer, Algolia, doing some really good search work, but also it's under the covers, a lot of tech. Bharat, great to have you on theCUBE. Thanks for coming in.
Very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So we were shooting the breeze before you came on around your experience at Twilio, and then the role of NRF, this is the show, the National Retail Foundation, or Federation, whatever the F stands for, but it's actually Retail Week. I call it Retail Week.
It is Retail Week.
Retail, this show has always been about, hey, how to put end caps up and how to merchandise on analytics, omni-channel marketing, blah, blah, blah. Now, MarTech has gone technical, but kind of stalls.
Yeah.
Now AI comes in. Retail is a internet problem, opportunity, because stores, brick and mortars are back.
Yeah.
Online ordering's up. It's a first party nexus between hybrid, digital, and physical.
Yeah.
We're seeing that post-pandemic clearly. And then two, it's an IoT opportunity, Internet of Things, because when people walk in, there's computer vision, there's language models working on behalf of customers, mobile devices getting notifications. This is a developer market now.
It is.
What's your take on this? Because you see this too. What is your perspective of NRF?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure your audience knows Algolia. It's an AI search company. We are an API-driven company. And we serve over 5,000 retailers right now, online retailers. And it's been interesting the last 2 years. I would say that, with COVID, they had this natural boom of e-commerce. And so everyone was sort of like happy. And once COVID ended, I think we went back to the mean. And what we're seeing now, especially with the rise of Gen AI, especially with the rise of agentic AI, especially with the rise of IoT, there's this opportunity to both reduce costs, improve customer engagement for the shoppers, and to increase efficiencies all around. And so, I was on the floor at NRF yesterday and day before, and this is the theme everywhere. And so I think that we're in the midst of this revolution that is happening, and e-commerce is...
you mentioned the pandemic, COVID hit. I think obviously we saw that as a forcing function, and that just was a black swan event, right? So that happens, but that forces everyone either to work at home, so IT was under pressure for just forecasting demand of remote dialing in or remote access. That's a whole nother discussion. But what it did was everyone had to go electronic, events were digital, commerce boomed. Now and that forcing function caused a lot of change, in a positive way, accelerated, but then you hit the AI, the generative AI, and now pre-agentic wave, software wave.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are predicting on our research side that's about $1 trillion of spend in flight right now on premise. And when I say on premise, I mean data center and edge. Retail would factor in as an edge because people want to have a physical relationship with a brand or store or outlet or whatever, but yet have first party like capabilities online.
Yep.
It used to be, you go to the store and online was kind of competitive or alternative channel.
Yeah.
Not one thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is kind of what's happening. So now just if you think that's happening, then you ask the next question, how do you technically make that work? Because now packets are one thing, footsteps are another. So like now you have the physical traversal, visiting a store, and now you got digital. I mean, so this is first of all, it's a good opportunity for technical people to solve a hard problem, but it's not that easy. Scope this for us and explain it sounds easy. Oh yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah.
But the database is a silo. There's so many problems. Scope the opportunity and challenge.
And I'll give you an example of a customer who was actually on stage with us at NRF yesterday, the keynote, Breville. So they're a customer of ours. And I was having a conversation with their CTO, Tal. And he was mentioning that many of their customers go to the stores to feel their Breville machines and to sort of look at it, and they don't buy it there. They then go back home and they order it online. And they either order it through Amazon or they order it directly from the Breville website, which we power. And he said that this is a really interesting phenomenon. So how do they capture that person who walked in, showed interest, and then didn't purchase it there, but went back. And so we are seeing retailers innovate on the in-store personalization experience, apps, so that they can capture that data, the intent, connect it back to the databases, so that when that customer goes back in, and if they happen to log in to Breville, Breville knows, okay, yeah, we see that you had come in. We started seeing this first in the luxury fashion industry. So if you think of the big fashion brands, Louis Vuittons of the world, we started seeing it with them over the last 2-3 years. They've invested heavily in the in-store experience to connect it back to the digital experience. And it's not an easy, trivial problem to solve. And so they are making a lot of advancements in mobile technology, in-store, recognition of the demographics, and connecting it back to their database.
So talk about some of the things you're doing. Obviously, as the chief product officer at Algolia, you guys have to look at a lot. I mean, enterprise search always has been a hard nut to crack because of the database silos, schemas, different formats of the data. Enter neural networks, you can abstract away some of those stovepipes or silos and build in a control plane layer with vector embeds. Okay, and then use multimodal, whether it's computer vision, camera in store, to a database. So there's a lot of technical innovation. Could you take us through some of the thinking around this new paradigm? Because this is game changing, because it'll enable agentic software development practices. It will also provide hyper-personalization capabilities if you do it right. Take us through that kind of direction and unpack that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think generative AI and LLMs have unlocked a world where information can now be sort of like brought together from different silos, which they were not able to. Previously, you had to be very deterministic and sort of like understand every piece of data to connect it. We don't need to do that anymore. So today at Algolia, we have over 30 billion unique pieces of data in our data store. And what we do is we embed all of them. We can run it through an LLM, and when we query it, we're able to find relationships and generate a lot of different summaries and whatnot. And that is useful when it comes to productivity. It's useful when it comes to knowledge. In retail, there's a little bit of a difference. If I'm looking for a Breville toaster, I don't want you to show me, the Breville, a fridge or some other appliance. They want you to be specific. And I think this is where, the balance between search as what it traditionally used to be known, and generative AI, how you marry that together, everyone is experimenting right now.
Bharat, you bring up deterministic as a concept. In machine learning, you have supervised and unsupervised machine learning, deterministic versus undeterministic things. When you look at all the heavy lifting that has to get done in some of these multi-formatted data sets, there's a lot of grunt work, a lot of grinding you got to do. There's a lot of toil. There's a lot of muck. Every company has their own word for it, but it's a lot of crap work, right? Like nobody wants to tag every web page. So analytics, reporting, some of the key connective tissue is evolving. What are some of the key innovation areas that companies now can do with AI? Because just riffing off what you just said, I can almost imagine just traversing a product catalog in real time to understand when to tag something smartly to track. So if I do walk in the store and then buy from Amazon, I automatically append maybe a code, buy through us, get a discount.
Absolutely.
You can still go through Amazon, but if you tag somehow have some sort of metadata, I'm just riffing on the fly here, but this is where it's going. What is some of the innovation?
I mean, if you think about what retailers are going through today, they have vast product catalogs, and they're not able to actually tag them properly in their databases. It's dirty data. And so if you have dirty data, garbage in, garbage out. So if they have bad data, you're going to get bad results out. So we use a ton of AI generative techniques to actually clean up that data. So we give it a quote, and we say, tell us what should we put in the description and metadata of this quote. And it picks out, this is an autumn coat, it has this sort of a color, etc., which you would never be able to do manually. So we're seeing innovation there. The second thing that we're seeing is, how do you match intent? So how do you truly understand when someone's searching for something, what are they really looking for? When they're looking for a coffee-colored floor tile, what is it that they're actually trying to get to? And so there's a lot of work that we can do with semantic understanding over there. I would say the third piece is, and this is the theme that I've seen over NRF and what our hypothesis is, business outcomes.
Yeah.
So it was great for customer experience and that wow factor of generative AI.
Yeah.
Now every business is trying to understand, okay, how do I marry that with my business goals? And so for a retailer, they have many commercial priorities. Inventory optimization, revenue, margin, net revenue.
Yeah.
It's a multivariate equation. And humans, how many spreadsheets can you have open to like manage it?
Exactly.
And so this is where I think agentic AI is going to come in to manage that entire workflow for them.
I mean, manual work has good and bad and ugly sides of it. You mentioned priorities and kind of the ROI equation. One of the things that's coming out of this, I call supercomputing cycle we're in. I mean, we had the computer revolution, the personal computer revolution, which I lived through. That was fun, but that was Wintel. Now we have the NVIDIA, which Dave and I were riffing on the pod. That's the new Wintel. They're both Win Intel, or they're proprietary to the Mac. We don't know yet. But supercomputing clearly means you have a lot of horsepower, networking, compute all integrated in these AI factories. But the conversation is about outcomes, and what we're seeing is we went from IT transformation back at 20 years ago. The conversation was consumerization of IT, or IT transformation. Then it moved to digital transformation, which was, hey, digitize your business. And we're kind of still in that phase, but quickly right now, because of the AI wave, it's business transformation. Yep. You guys are in the sweet spot of this business transformation mode because you're enabling capabilities that were untenable, ungettable. You could not attain this. We're seeing stuff with AI on top of NVIDIA that was ungettable because we now have democratized supercomputing. Retail is shifting the same way. What are some of the things that people could do that you're enabling it with your product and other products in general in AI? Because those conversations don't even get talked about at the table because they've been shot down before, but now they're gettable.
Now they're gettable,
so the guy who had the idea 10 years ago, he's now, where's that product roadmap?
Exactly.
So this is a real phenomenon. Do you agree?
100% agree. And what we're seeing is, what is search and discovery for an e-commerce website? That's their bread and butter. How do I find something? How do I buy it? How do I check out? That is what they care about. What these tools today are enabling is we're able to take vast stores of their ERP data. We're able to, not just their product catalog, but all of their ERP data, and actually then say, hey, listen, if this is your business priorities for the year, the CFO is driving the business priority, hey, we need to hit these sort of goals. How do you manage that with the business complexities that they have with what their customer experience wants to look like? So we're able to take all of that data and then auto-configure what their browse and their discovery and their search experience looks like. And I think where we're going to go is hyper-personalization. You actually spoke about that earlier. Imagine a world where every time you walk into that digital store, it has a look and a feel that is very hyper-personalized to you in a very dynamic way. And it's different for you, it's different for me, and it's different for others. And we're going to start seeing that very soon. And in fact, in some ways, we're seeing that with retail media inside the store. So I was talking to a customer in the Middle East, a large, think of them like a large Walmart in the Middle East. And what they were saying is that they're building these TV screens inside their stores, where as you walk by, it has sensors and cameras that detects, okay, this is a male, this is roughly their age, and if we have them in their database, could we identify, match them with other personalities that we have, and sort of like start to infer what is it that will make them buy something. And so we're getting to this world of hyper-personalization, and these technologies, the compute power that is being unleashed, the amount of data that we can suck in now, and these language models allow us to do that.
I was talking with a company that has robots on the floor, they're grocery, they're not stocking shelves, but they're scanning inventory. So inventory management, old school. You mentioned cameras and TVs, that's computer vision. I mean, think about the multimodal processing required for that device.
Very high.
And then how low latency you need to go back to a data set and find the record, the data. Again, old school would have been get a database query into the ERP.
We'll wait 24 hours.
Who's the customer? It's like 5 seconds later, a non-starter.
Yeah, it is.
Now it's edge.
It's at the
low
edge.
latency, real time.
Yeah.
And this is the key. So as a product person, okay, you have the, I was joking, keys to the kingdom, because you got to think about the requirements for your customers, but also you got to build it.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question around search. I think search is a good tell sign for where we're going, because I think search has always been the killer app. People want to find what they're looking for. They're on some sort of discovery progression, whatever you want to call it. And then you have this actionable insights. Okay, so action is in search of the killer app. So search and then some transaction. Those are the two things. RAG, retrieval augmentation generation, has got everyone buzzed, because you can use AI today to get something going and go have an aha moment. But the minute you try to move it into production with any scale,
yep, you break.
Shit happens, as they say,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't really work well. I'm over the top on that, because I've seen use cases where let's green light that project, but as you scale up the data sets, there's a whole nother level of consideration. Could you share your thoughts and perspective on this progression? Cool, prototype it, whip it up.
Yeah.
It's not even an MVP, but it's kind of MVP-like.
Yeah.
The old world was, that's an MVP, let's scale and iterate. Not so much the same playbook now, because of the scale breakage.
It is.
I call it scale breakage. But what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great term, scale breakage. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
It's a good one. You are 100% right, and I would say, so we were the first in the world to come out with hybrid search, neural search. We were the first in 2023 to come out with that, and we skinned our knees, because we started to go through all of these
Scar tissue.
and the scar tissue of like, okay, what does it mean to scale?
Yeah.
And I think scale and operations is one part of it, but also the unintended results that come out, and the customer experience that people were not expecting. You can't really predict these as you go bigger and bigger. And in search especially, there is a triangle that we need to optimize, which is latency, quality of the results, and cost. And can you do it at the scale that we do? We serve 2 trillion requests a year. And to give you some perspective, that's,
across multiple,
across
you're
all
horizontally scalable across multiple touch points.
We're second only to Google in that regard, in the terms of queries. So how do we scale a vector database? How do we scale generative AI applications with speed, cost, and quality at the same time? And we've had to learn it the hard way. And the way I think about it is 25 years ago, everyone was thinking about distributed systems engineering, and they had to learn, so you created DevOps. That term didn't exist before. And then DevOps was created. I think we're going through a similar thing right now.
I mean, it's like the old school days when you had pre-modular, you had to build everything monolithically, and now you componentize it, and you have DevOps, you have platform engineering, data engineering. All right, so scale's huge. Okay, now the flip side of that is that, first of all, great insight there. So now the flip side to that is you guys have scale.
Yes.
So now the benefit of skinning your knees and getting the scar tissue is you've plowed through the work, you've done the work. Now you're in rarefied territory, air, we call it, where you're now seeing stuff at scale that only scalable apps can see, or scalable platforms. Amazon's one, we all know there's hyperscalers. So when you're at that level, you're seeing things that only you see. So it's not like a startup's going to come out and do that tomorrow, because there's diseconomies of scale, they don't have the trajectory, they don't have the experience. So that's just classic, concept, mental model. But you now have an advantage. What are some of the things that people see when they get your customers, you guys, get that scale point where you're now seeing data points that feed into product requirements, feed into utility, feed into value proposition. You get the triangle, all good constructs, trade-offs, all that good stuff. But now you have a competitive advantage. What are some of those things?
No, we do, and I think there are a few things. I think one is the fact that we can consume even more data as a result of that, because in this world, data is king. And the more knowledge that you can gather into your systems, the smarter it is going to be. And so that only gets, I think, exponentially harder. And so, it's very cute to build that prototype and be super excited, like, look what I created. But gosh, you put it into production, it breaks. And so I think, data and the ability to just keep taking that in is only going to reinforce the moat. And I would say that, we have learned where the sweet spot is when it comes to actually optimizing a lot of these models. and we're learning rapidly on
Yeah,
that.
and I think, well, I used the term when I interviewed Matt Garman at AWS before reInvent. I went to, had an exclusive preview because I had the same conversation with him. I called it scalable apps because it's, I mean, I couldn't think of a word because there's no category yet for these unique apps that are at scale. I mean, there's SaaS apps that grew to be massive, and they had to do things horizontally, learn about what's going on, how to do machine learning pipeline at scale. I mean, just these, a lot of knee scraping, to use your term, that get you there. And once you're in that place, it's a much different place than where you were.
It is.
And I think we are at this time where scalable apps as a managed service can be a core competency for a company, because what's their alternative? Build a black box?
I mean, it's.
I mean, this is a huge managed service categorical change in the industry that will change the landscape of this new connected ecosystem, because I would love to rather go with you guys if I have my choice to either fund it, build it, go through all those learnings, and that's what you guys do for work, and that's full time. I mean, I'll just lean on you.
100%. I mean, you know, if you followed reInvent 2 months ago, a big announcement that they had was something called model distillation.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was that triangle that I just mentioned. How do you get it to a place where it's small enough so it's cost effective and can scale? And I think that is the name of the game right now. So, and most companies haven't reached that level. And so, you know, I think there is advantages in leaning on what we're doing. And leaning on what, you know, companies like OpenAI are doing. Like I think Sam Altman keeps saying, right, like why build something to compete with OpenAI? Just build on top of us and build these apps on top.
So you guys are doing extremely well. Congratulations for all your success, and you guys got a great opportunity over there.
Thank you.
My final question for you is more on the model side, because I think we were the first ones to put out the power law of AI models 3 years ago, and we said, it was kind of controversial at the time, but now everyone, it makes sense and everyone's kind of sees it. You have the power law, the head of the tail, head long tail, you got the big guys, and then you have the thin neck that's growing up in the torso, and then the long tail of models, specialty models. So small language models are happening, and so models are going to talk to each other. LLM routing is a hot topic in the paper academic area right now. So a whole nother level of networking and discussions with models are happening. What is your perspective on this? Because this is one of the most cutting edge areas that's top of mind in computer science.
I mean, it is advancing faster than I think any one of us can keep pace with, and we're already doing that at Algolia at scale, because we have to be able to talk to multiple language models at the same time to actually solve different problems. And I think what we're learning as we go through this is, how do you bring in verifiable AI, safer AI? What are the networking constructs and contracts between these different agents? And I think, you know, but the amount of productivity that it can unleash is just tremendous. I mean, again, like I go back to that Google spreadsheet, which all business managers are trying to deal with. Like, leave it to a machine. They can figure out a lot of these things. And I think we're going to see contracts, different types of APIs, different types of networking that is going to happen between these different agents.
One quick follow-up last question on that is that, just because I think we'll come back and do a deeper dive on you guys later, but if there was one architectural shift that you see happening, and Dave and I have been riffing on this morning, there's the old way we did things and the new way now. Old is like 2 years ago. And go back 10, 15 years, you know, you're selling a server, rack and stacking, top of rack switch, the infrastructure, the AI infrastructure, and now that software layer is changing. Is there an architecture that you guys see that's going to be different if there's the new way? Because there is a shift happening. Budget-wise, we're seeing over $1 trillion in spend shifting to data center and edge. And data and AI growth rates are much faster than budget increases. So that money's going to come from somewhere. It's not going to not just fall out of the sky. It's going to come from shifting.
It is going to shift,
from, hey, how we did it before, that's killed, move it over here. What's that architecture that will be the new thing? If you could lay that out, or at least give some directional insight around, is it clustered systems? Is it a new software layer paradigm? Is it more full stack, back to full stack? Or is it going to be half stack, some cloud? Like, what would be, as a product and an engineering team, how should they think about whether you're a large enterprise or just a startup?
Yeah, I think that we're going to see a ton of innovation on the application layer. And basically that stack is going to evolve dramatically. Like if I just think about what even my kid does today to build an app, they go to Replit or they go to some other code generator, and that's how they build it. So what we're going to see is all that cruft of managing the service, that's not going away. Someone still has to manage all of that, but the folks who are developing that are going to be developing different things now. And I think that's where the shift is going to be, and it is going to be a new stack, absolutely. I think it is going to be based on, a lot of these smaller language models, these agentic frameworks that are coming out, RAG, that you mentioned, retrieval augmented generation. I think these are the tools that we're going to be seeing in the future.
It's a perfect storm because you have this year is the year AI infrastructure, and then there's just a developer frenzy right now from young to old. I mean, we're all ages are coding. And you're going to see that just pushed down in this meet in the middle. That's a collision of epic proportion of innovation.
You think about Apple Intelligence, like we're going to start seeing more and more voice applications as well. You're going to be talking, and your agent will go do something for you.
Bharat, great to have you on. Appreciate you coming in to the theCUBE studios here on the East Coast. It's our super node. We're getting all the action. It's Retail Week. I'm calling it Retail Week. It's NRF. It's happening here in New York City. Of course, we're talking to all the AI leaders in retail and in technology as we understand these industries being disrupted and enabling with more value coming in. The new architecture is coming in. Of course, it's AI, it's data. And of course, we're bringing that to you. I'm John Furrier, your host of theCUBE. Thanks for watching.